Oh man, what is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast, and this is a very exciting episode because if you remember, a few years back, we got the two biggest Spider-Man fans that we knew, and we put them head to head in a debate to declare once and for all who was the greatest Spider-Man of all time. And little did we know that we would have to revisit that discussion after a few more Spider-Man movies got released, and it was necessary to go back and have this debate once again. Absolutely necessary. So we're back. It's the Great Spidey Debate Part 2. My name is Steady. With me on this fantastic episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Hey, everybody.
And we got our top two contestants making their triumphant return. First, we got LU 2099.
What's going on, guys?
And you know him as one of the founding members of the Countdown City Geekcast. He grew a mustache. It's the one and only Rob.
Steady, thank you for having me on the show today. I know it's a special occasion for you, so I hope you got your brown pants on.
Absolutely. I didn't forget this time.
All right.
Once again, we're all excited because why wouldn't we be? No Way Home dropped a little over a month ago now, and it has been the biggest talked about movie probably in the history of all comic book films. And we have not heard from either JC yet or Rob on their thoughts on the movie. And if you recall, we did do a post movie review with myself, and Elliot was also on that show. So if you want to hear sort of the beat by beat points throughout the movie, definitely go check out that podcast review for No Way Home that we did back in late December. But this one is going to be a little more, slightly different. We want to get first the thoughts from Rob and JC on No Way Home, and then we want to talk just in general about how each of the Spider-Men performed. What was our favorite moments from each one of them? Who do we think sort of stands or shines the brightest now that Tom Holland has completed his trilogy? And then, kind of, what do we want going forward? Because I think we've had a pretty sufficient amount from each of the individuals themselves, Tom, Toby, Andrew. But like, what is the biggest thing we want to see happen next? And we'll talk about that towards the end of the episode. And we want to hear from you if you're watching this episode right now. Also, let us know what was your favorite moment in No Way Home. Who was your favorite Spider-Man today, and has it changed from before? Let us know in the comments throughout the show. Just jump in any time you want to. But once again, this is the Great Spidey Debate Part 2. Who is the greatest Spider-Man? We're going to figure that out by the end of this episode. And first off, we're going to kick it over to Rob. Rob, it's been a long time waiting for you to talk about No Way Home. I'm glad you're finally here to do it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Rob, try and keep it down to less than 20 minutes. What are your overall thoughts about Spider-Man No Way Home?
All right, so let me preface with I only saw the movie once, and it's got nothing to do with that it was a bad movie. I loved the movie. All right, I'll just start out with that. But I only saw it once just due to time constraints and whatnot. So, I saw it I think the Monday after the opening weekend. Okay, so my memory is kind of, it's not that great. However, I can tell you it was the best Spider-Man movie I'd ever seen.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of them out there, right? Some never got a trilogy. It's unfortunate. You can't really compare trilogies to with Andrew Garfield's. Um, so no biggie. But if you were to compare these films, particularly No Way Home to uh, M. Night Shyamalan's Spidey,
What?
if they had, did I say M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah,
did.
you did.
You know who I'm talking about. Fucking, what's the dude's name?
I don't know what you're
Sam
talking about.
Raimi? Webb?
What?
Mark
Sam
Webb
Sam
or Sam
Raimi.
Raimi?
Sam Raimi. There you go.
Okay. Wow.
All right. You know what? It's 10 o'clock. Come
Hey,
on.
bro, you just lost all credibility, dude. Why would you, the fuck? Sam Night
I'm like,
Shyamalan.
I want to see that movie. When did that come
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, bro.
How do you
Is
exit
that
this?
Mr. Glass? Is that Mr. Glass?
How
What
do
are
you
you talking
exit? How do you exit this chat?
Oh, funny.
Anyways, so
Go
Sam
on.
Raimi's. If you were to compare these to Sam Raimi's, it blows those out of the water, 100%. You can talk about Spider-Man 2 all day long, Willis, but it's a good film. I'm not going to disrespect it. However, it blows those three movies out of the water.
Wow.
Now, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's only because you had the extra Spider-Man come in." Blah blah blah. It has got nothing to do with that. Was that a
It
cool
does.
fact? Was that an amazing factor? Sure, of
Yes.
course. It's something everybody wanted, but that's
You
not the
think-
reason why these three. Shut up. These are not the. This is not that's not the reason why these movies were so great. These movies were written so well that it expanded the traditional 3-movie arc. Right. That's why Tobey Maguire only got 3 movies, because his acting skills are very limited. So if that's your dude, whatever. What I'm trying to tell you is the reason why these are so great and why No Way Home was so phenomenal is because it's only part of the overall story, which why we're getting more. Why else would you think we would be getting more if it wasn't good, if it was this amazing? They would have just cut it right at 3, but they didn't, because the fans want more. They want more. They want more. They want more. I want more. And guess what? I'm going to get more. So overall, No Way Home, best Spider-Man movie ever. We'll get into specifics later. However, if I had to give like my favorite aspect of the movie,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be honest. It was when all the 3 Spider-Man came together, right? Just because the interaction between all 3 was just blew my mind. It was awesome. But if I had to highlight another great scene, the whole Peter and Aunt May, like fantastic, amazing. Like there's so much emotion in that scene. Like I think you really see Tom Holland's acting shine throughout this entire movie. So overall, 10 out of 10.
I don't know who it is, but
Hey, 10 out of 10, bro. Best movie ever. Oh, fucking yeah, dude. M. Night Shyamalan, bro. Okay, dude.
Hey, dude, I already told you, Sam Raimi, bro. Get shit, man. Get your
that's
shit
what I
straight.
heard. I heard Sam Raimi too. I heard
Get
Sam
your
Raimi.
facts straight.
I don't know who it is, but somebody owes me like $10 because somebody told me that Rob wasn't gonna like this movie as much, and I said no. I think he's gonna call it the best Spider-Man movie ever. So
I
I
think it
need
was
to.
Jericho
Oh, yeah.
in the group chat or something.
It
or
might.
Joe.
It might be.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
probably Jericho. It's probably Jericho. Guy owes me money. Awesome. But before we get into any sort of debate, template, or stage, want to hear from JC. Haven't heard from you yet, man. And I know we've been so busy with talking about other things, we haven't had the time to go back and talk
Yeah.
about it. So, JC, the floor is yours. Your general thoughts, your overview about Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah, the softball parent life kept me busy when you guys were reviewing it. So, this I think you and Elliot had said this when you guys reviewed it before. This really was Tom Holland, Peter Parker's origin story. I think a lot of the things when we had the first debate. First of all, the first debate was who was better, Toby or Tom. It wasn't
Tom.
who was the best.
Tom
It
won.
was Toby or Tom. A lot of us might agree. I know Elliot and I have said it. And we said at the beginning of that first debate was we think the best live action one is Andrew Garfield. We said that before this movie.
Yeah, but he wasn't part of the debate, so
Well, yeah, but he would have won if he was. But anyway, I think this actually, we finally saw Tom Holland have a tragic backstory. His character have a tragic backstory. He was really introduced in Civil War. We knew he lived with Aunt May. They didn't really touch on his uncle. We never heard anything about Uncle Ben. Um, him losing Aunt May, him actually, you know, losing his friends at the end of it. This was his backstory. This was the full on reset for him. I think one of the biggest things that Iliud argued against why Tom wasn't the best is because he had help. He got his tech from Stark. If you looked at, I don't even know if Far From Home had come out by the time we reviewed it, but we had the debate. I can't
No,
recall if it hadn't yet. So,
no.
but that was kind of the big thing too. It might have just come out, but even then, with Far From Home, he was still had Stark tech. He was still had help. That was the whole point.
Nick Fury,
Mhm.
yeah.
Nick Fury, yeah, well, yeah, Nick Fury, right? Um, this was obvious. This was hands down his best performance as Spider-Man, easily. Um, and you, with everything like he had to go through so many range of emotions as Peter Parker Spider-Man in this. That yeah, okay, I think people that were doubting him on some level respect him as a Spider-Man character now. He had to go through a tragic backstory. He had to grow. He had to face his demons, but in a way, he did have help because he was ready to kill Norman at the end. And Toby and Andrew helped him in some ways, falling down the same path that they did, which I think was poetic. It was a great way for Sony to bring that all together. Um, I know they've said they're going to do more movies with Tom. Uh, I'm sure he'll be doing more like Avengers and MCU appearances here as well. But the movie itself, I won't say it's the best Spider-Man movie of all time. It's the best live action Spider-Man movie of all time.
Ooh, I see
That
what you
is
did there.
yes. Into the Spider-Verse is still number one for me. And if we didn't have Into the Spider-Verse, if it wasn't as good as it was, we would not have this movie.
Lies.
No, because after they did the animated The Spider-Verse, they said, I have a feeling Sony kind of secretly said, who would love to see a live action with these three Spider-Men?
No,
And people clamored for it, and we finally got it.
no,
So
it was already in the plans.
uh, that's debatable. But anyway, so, I still think Into the Spider-Verse is still number one. I can't wait to see Across the Spider-Verse later this year. But, and yeah, the No Way Home was an amazing movie. My kids were so excited to see it when we finally did get to see it, and keeping my son awake that late in the night, you can hold his attention for that long. Yeah, you did a good job. So
There you
uh,
go.
he was excited to see it, and then afterward we went to Avengers Campus. He got to see the web swing. I'll let you, Rob, you and Elliot know if you go out to Disneyland, go to Avengers Campus. Web Slingers is so worth the money. It's so much fun, and I think you guys would enjoy it too. So
Nice.
yes,
Awesome.
tell you more
Awesome.
later.
Awesome. Uh Glad to finally hear from you, gentlemen. And JC, I should have known Into the Spider Verse was still gonna be number one on your list.
Mhm.
But there you go.
It was the first to do it, so I mean, what can you say?
Obviously, obviously.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of wanted to start this off with getting into the best components of each of the Spider-Men, and you guys can kind of give me your ideas. Elliot, we'll start with you, man. I want to know what was your favorite moment or the best moment for that you loved in the film from any one of the Parkers. It doesn't have to be your favorite Spider-Man. It could be any of them. Just like what still sticks with you today? What did you love to see from the movie from No Way Home?
I mean,
He's speechless
it's
because it's the whole movie. He loved it.
There you go.
you know what, and he's not wrong on that. I would have to say, I mean, I think the best aspect, in my opinion, the whole reason why I even like the movie to begin with is because of all three Spider-Man being in it. So I think it's kind of hard to pinpoint like a really man that moment just made it all the best for the movie for me. It's kind of a little bit of everything. Just them interacting with each other. You know, seeing seeing Toby and Andrew again fighting their old villains. Hearing their scores again. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Um, it's just all them being together, and then I think the final act for me was was where I stood up. I'm here just keeping, kept my attention the whole time, and I just couldn't believe I was seeing. Like I was just like, man, is this really happening? Just seeing Andrew again, seeing Toby again, like as Spider-Man, I was, yeah, man. I think that's probably the best part of the movie, in my opinion, just seeing them all together on screen. I can't really pinpoint a moment necessarily.
You don't have to pick one. You could pick a number of them if you wanted to. For an example, like for me, Andrew, his Parker, and I know there's been a whole lot of controversy in recent years about superheroes and like how far they take policing or taking down criminals, right? Like that's been a big old thing for many years now, especially on the DC side. But learning that Andrew's Parker got low, dude, like hit rock bottom, and when
Mhm.
he tells Holland's Parker, like, I stopped pulling my punches on the streets. I'm like, that shit's dark. Like, you don't understand. Like,
Yeah,
that's a huge character arc um, for a Spider-Man character. And I'm not even a major Spider-Man fan, but just hearing that, like, that tugs a little bit at the heartstrings. That's a big emotional moment. And
yeah,
Andrew's delivery uh, from start to finish, everything he's asked to do, all the emotion he's asked to portray on screen, it's not even at a 10. He's giving like the performance at a 15. Uh just when he said those words like I got low, I stopped pulling my punches, and just the look on his face, like the despair and just the tears that are welling up in his eyes. I'm just like, oh my god, this guy's incredible. And then to paint a picture about how effective Andrew is at showing emotion on screen. I've not seen the movie since the weekend it opened. I saw it twice the weekend it came out. Haven't seen it since, and I'm watching a TikTok video that's like 10, 15 seconds, right? But it's the clip of MJ's and Zendaya going over the side. Holland gets pulled away, and Andrews Parker dives down after her, and it's actually the audience reaction is part of the video. So you're hearing the crowd like just go fucking nuts when he drops
yeah.
down, right? And then he catches her, and then he asks her, "Are you all right?" And then as soon as she says yeah, and then she looks at him, and the camera stayed, and then she asks him back like, "Are you all right?" And just like the emotion that he's just giving out. And then it started to hit me again. I'm like, I'm watching a goddamn TikTok
Can you, can
video.
you stop it, dude? I was crying in the theater at that scene, especially because I had just rewatched Amazing Spider-Man 2 before I went to see it that day.
I
Yeah.
like
That
threw
was
my
one.
phone. I'm just like,
Okay,
still?
so maybe y'all can answer this question.
Yeah.
In Amazing Spider-Man 2, did
Yeah.
Gwen die from the whiplash or did she die from hitting the floor?
A
I
little bit of
mean,
both. I think he caught her too late,
Yeah.
and it was just too. Her neck hit back, and she banged the back of her head on the ground. So it was just he just couldn't save her. He was too late, and I think that's what would really weigh on him.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, he hadn't realized you can't save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't save Gwen's father in the first one, and that aided him, and he wanted to stay away. He couldn't, but this one, I mean, yes, he'd lost Uncle Ben, but losing the love of his life that way because he just couldn't get there.
I'm telling you,
That weighed
dude,
on him. Yeah.
worst Spider-Man ever.
Fuck you.
Hey, the most accurate Spider-Man ever.
It
I'll tell
was.
you that right now.
That's the most
The
accurate.
most accurate.
Yes.
That is the
Arguably,
most accurate
arguably,
Spider-Man.
arguably.
all right, all right.
But
Okay.
back to what you said about Garfield too, because we forget at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, after Gwen died, it was like what 4 or 5 months where he just
Yeah.
disappeared as Spider-Man. He was dealing with
Mhm.
that. He shows back up when that little kid's ready to take on Rhino, and then he goes, and then you wonder between then and now because and now they better make a third damn movie. What path did he go down to where he's not pulling his punches anymore? Like, how much
Yeah.
shittier did his life get from there? You know,
Really bad.
he still hasn't found MJ in that Spider or that universe, if you will, in his world. So,
Yeah.
uh, and that's the guilt he's lived with for God knows how long. But
She hooked up with Ned in that universe. Don't worry about it.
yeah, I mean that for Andrew Garfield, it was the moment saving Gwen or saving MJ, redemption. I think he needed that more than anything. For Toby, gosh, it was. It's hard to say what one thing stood out for him. Maybe I think for me, what sticks out more is saving Norman from dying again, because from the first movie, that seemed to haunt him up until Spider-Man 3, where Harry was always out for revenge, thinking Spider-Man killed his father, even when they told him, the glider killed him, not his own glider killed him. But I think Toby's Parker was always haunted by I could have saved him, I could have done more. And now he had the opportunity to do that. It was twofold. One, it was a chance to save Norman, and two, it was preventing Tom from going down a darker
The same
path.
path. Yeah.
The same path, exactly. Yeah. Uh, for Tom, the moment for me was really, and I hate to say it, it was the death of Aunt May. For one, Marissa Tomei delivered the line beautifully. With great power, there must also be great responsibility. But that was the turning point for Tom, where now he's starting to see what it really is like to be Spider-Man. When everyone knows who you are, who's coming after you, and he, like I said at the beginning, the fact that he had to deal with tragedy in the worst way. But knowing that, and that ultimately led him to making the decision, everyone needs to forget who I am. So that was his growing up moment, so to speak. As they say in Spider-Verse, like that's a very tragic backstory. Like every single one of them has one, right? That was Tom's.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Rob, do you have any? It doesn't have to be one of them. It doesn't have to be only one moment, but just what are some of the best aspects, the best scenes, your favorite moments from any one of the Spider-Man in this movie?
Well, I already hit on it just a little bit, but the scene with Tom or Peter and Aunt May, something about that scene, I think the fact that we know the whole, Uncle Ben dies, right? We've seen that played out a lot, right?
Yeah.
Uh, we know that from the comics, we know that from the cartoons, we know it from the original films. Like, not that it's drowned out and not that it's less impactful, but because this was done so differently, made it that much more impactful than Uncle Ben dying. And it could be completely because the way it was written. Uncle Ben was never really part of this story to begin with. So, I mean, that could be part of it. But,
Yeah.
you know, just just seeing that interaction of those last moments. Aunt May has been this strong figure for Peter for so long, his whole life essentially, and even up until the moment of her last breath, like she was still standing there, with this fatal injury, still standing up until the very last second where she dropped. She couldn't continue anymore. And you really see how strong this woman was, mostly for Peter, trying to be there for him and just trying to show him the right way in life and whatnot. And so once he realizes she's down, and you just see the emotion on his face, like it was a pretty emotional scene. Just everything about it, like I don't even know what else to say. Like, I haven't really seen Tom Holland um, in other films. I've been meaning to watch him in what's that movie, The Devil Within, or something like that. It's on Netflix. It's
Yeah,
like,
Uh,
I know what you're talking about.
so I've been wanting to watch that just because I kind of want to see how he contrasts, in different roles and different things like that. So I'm really excited for Uncharted. I want to see what that's all about.
you
But
might want to skip the one on Netflix. That was a weird story.
was it?
Yeah, it was just weird, convoluted
The Devil All the
story.
Time, I think is what it's called, right? Is that what it
There you
is?
go.
Yeah.
Something like that,
Something like
yeah.
that.
Anyways, so I just want to see these just to get a range for his acting abilities. because in these Spider-Man movies you see him very immature in the first movie, and he kind of brings it into the second one. But I feel like in No Way Home, I feel like he really brings it home with what he can with what he can do. He has comedy, he can be serious, he can be dramatic. Like, I feel like he played a little bit of everything and really showcased his acting skills, and I think they make that scene so much better than what it probably some people think it was. I loved that scene. What else, man? Just his whole interaction with Doc Ock was fantastic. I think that's probably one of the better scenes. Maybe not so much because of Tom Holland, but because of Alfred Molina. Like the just him alone was badass, right?
So good.
It was like, yeah, yeah, obviously he looks a little bit different, but it's dude, it's so uncanny how he's just able to call back that character, right, and bring back Doc Ock. It was just, that whole scene was amazing. um and I also loved, not so much about Spider-Man, but the interaction with all the villains, within themselves, when they're all in the little tubes and the little chambers, and they're just kind of essentially shit talking back to one another, like that. It was just fantastic, and you get that also with the Spider-Man when they're all in the lab and they're working together and they're kind of just talking shit, and hey, you can do this, and oh, I can do that, hey, whatever. It's like the writing of this movie was phenomenal. Like, I can't give it any more credit. Like, it was just fantastic. Um, so I mean, I don't even know what else to say, man. Like, I don't think I have a specific, best scene per
Yeah.
se. I just
Uh,
love things about it.
It's almost like the movie wrote itself. It was just so damn like effortless. Every line that they said, the villains, all of the three Spideys. My favorite line still to this day in that movie, the funniest line to me is when Electro looks over at Sandman and he goes, "Damn, gotta be careful where you fall."
yeah.
Yeah, because it evident too,
Or
right?
it's between that one and when he tells Andrew Garfield, "I just thought you'd be black," just he's got
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, you
He's
mentioned the
racist.
interaction was great. Just the fact that they gave him a good like 5 minutes for them to be talking on top of the Statue of Liberty was enough for me. Just to have that little banter between three brothers, if you will. And as Garfield said, I always wanted to have brothers, and that was pretty cool. That was a really awesome piece to have. But they're comparing villains and everything like
yeah.
that.
It was so funny, right? How they wrote Garfield's Spider-Man to be so emotional,
Yeah,
and it was just like, the fuck's your problem, dude? Like,
yeah,
Toby and Tom are just like, the fuck.
yeah.
I love you guys.
I love you
Okay.
He
guys.
ad libbed apparently. He
Okay.
ad libbed that scene
Thanks.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like if you would have asked a group of us or a group of just fans of Spider-Man, give me 10 things you want to see happen in this movie. They probably did that. And then they took the top 10 list and they're like, we need to see them talking about like how bad their back hurts from web slinging. Oh, they need to talk about how Toby has like natural web shooters and not robotic ones or electronic ones. We need to
Homemade ones. Let me just say that.
yeah.
There you go. We need to just like have all those little discussions. Top 10 things you want to see, and like they just did it all.
They should have brought
And
up the whole
Mhm.
dancing shit.
the what thing?
Well,
Toby's dancing
his
nonsense.
No, we want to forget that. That's the one thing we don't want to see them do. We're not gonna talk about emo Spidey from Spider-Man 3. I want to ask you, gentlemen, which live action Peter Parker is the best, and I don't want to influence anybody, but I will say
Hold
that.
on, hold on. If you don't
Oh,
mind me
oh,
interrupting your
go for
your
it, go
train
for
of
it.
thought. So,
oh,
my wife's downstairs and she's overhearing
Oh no.
this nonsense,
okay.
and she just sent me this little article that was written. And I'd say it's little because I don't recognize the you know whatever the
Publisher.
publisher.
Yeah.
But the title of it says Andrew Garfield improvised the "I love you guys" scene in Spider-Man: No Way Home. So if that's true,
Yeah.
I will have to say that is much respect for that, right? Because we can judge actors for terrible acting or for great acting, right? But I
Mhm.
think any actor that can just improvise something on the spot is just be like on another level of acting, right? Like any actor can go up there and just do whatever the director wants them to do. Anybody can take an order. But man, when you can go up there, take something, and then just run an audible on your own and make it better, like now Andrew Garfield's still not my favorite Spider-Man, but I have to give respect where respect is due, and that's pretty badass. He can do that.
It's actually not the only thing he came up with. They're also
Nobody
Yeah, he came up with a few things.
else.
crediting Andrew for the pointing moments in the movie when they're pointing at each other. They also credited Andrew for coming up with how to incorporate the meme into the movie, which they did it like twice. So I don't know if he did it both times or they're like, let's just do it again, and they just did it again.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is, I want to ask you, gentlemen, which live action Peter Parker is the best? And we can go back and forth about this if you guys want to. And I don't want to influence anybody, but I still want to credit the writers for this story because, as we talked about in our review, it felt like it was a Spider-Man sort of coming of age story. It felt like it was Tom Holland's origin story, and he is as a just a character in a comic book movie is gone through like this really heavy deep character arc that you don't see very often in a movie, just any single comic book movie, with the loss of Aunt May to the very end, not killing
Norman.
Willem Dafoe, to sacrificing any potential future with his friends. And then I thought that was the most Spider-Man type component I had seen in a movie. That decision at the end of the film. But I also want to go back to something in the beginning of the film, just him wanting to help villains. And not necessarily throw them in jail or like take away their powers so that they won't do any harm, but like just literally trying to help them overcome whatever obstacle or whatever's feeding their dark energy and get them back home so that they don't die or perish in any sort of way. That is also like one of the most Spider-Man type components I've seen in a live action movie, because it's something that was done in the comic books, the comic strips. It was done in the comics. It was done in the animated shows. Just it was done in the kids' books that I read to my son when he was learning how to read. Like Spider-Man would just be going around, um, like protecting the city, but not necessarily defeating the villains all the time. He would just like kind of lock them up, and the police would get them, and that'd be it. So I don't think we'll ever see that again. Seeing a hero just help the villains into not doing anything, but just by helping them instead of defeating them, even though he had to a little bit. But just still, the first part of the movie, going through that whole subplot of just trying to save them from what fate they were going to potentially go through, is just a tremendous story arc for a character. And I don't think we'll ever see that again. And so I appreciate all of the things they had Tom Holland's Peter Parker go through. I think it's unique, and I really don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. Seeing a character go through that type of story just in one single film, it's pretty remarkable. Elliot, we'll start with you, man. I'm gonna ask you what or which live action Peter Parker is the best today? Has this movie changed your mind? Has it solidified your previous answer? But which do you consider the best live action Peter Parker and why?
I still think it's Toby, in my opinion. Um, Only because, and that's kind of hard to answer, man, because Peter Parker grows as a character, right? Just the way Spider-Man does. So I think what I liked about Toby was that I don't want to say naive, but that more of that shy character, that nerd character, that really he really did play that very well in the original Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Um, and the only thing is, I think my only problem with Toby's Peter Parker was that he never evolved out of that. Like he still stayed that nerdy person, like even after high school, and that's not what happens in the comics. Like he's not that nerdy dude that like, oh, Spider-Man's supposed to be nerdy. I'm like, well, yeah, like when he's in high school and a little bit after, like a little bit in college, but he doesn't like he grows out of that. And I think that's where Andrew Garfield really kind of evolves out of that, in my opinion. Like, he's not that he's still like a nerd, but not so much as a nerd, so much the way Toby was. So I think that's why I kind of I'm gonna say overall it will be Toby because everybody agrees that Spider-Man is supposed to be some fucking nerd. But okay, cool. If that's the case, then I'll give it to Toby. But I like that. I like that Andrew kind of grows out of that a little bit, and actually becomes Spider-Man. So I'm gonna say Toby, in my opinion, only because I think just the different choices that he made, the different character arcs that he went through, especially in Spider-Man 2. I know we talk about Spider-Man 3 like like a redheaded stepchild, but there's a lot of moments and a lot of learning lessons that he learned in that I think that go a long way. So my opinion will definitely be Toby as the best Peter Parker. So
And Toby, who had a number of fantastic things to do in this last movie, not only talking
yeah,
to Holland at the beginning so that he wouldn't jump off the deep end after May had died, but also putting himself in harm's way, literally,
yeah.
to protect the soul of Tom's Parker. And even though they didn't kill him, which I thought would have been pretty dramatic and epic to do, it was still like a sacrifice that you felt. And Sony didn't have the balls to kill Toby on screen. Anyways, yeah, no, fantastic moments for him in this last one. Rob, you're next, sir. Which live action Peter Parker is the best and why? Has this movie changed your mind or has it solidified your answer?
No, it's still Tom Holland.
That's all you got, right?
That's all I need.
I knew it. I knew it. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob is
Oh,
Yeah,
back.
Look, dude,
I'm on the same track.
it's simple. You have to give credit where credit is due. Okay, the writers for these films knew what they were doing when they wrote Tom Holland, and a lot of people give it crap because because it's not the Spidey they grew up with, dude. Nobody gives
it's
a
not
fuck.
Spider-Man at all.
Nobody gives a fuck, dude.
I give a
What
fuck.
you
That's
need
why
to
people who listen
understand,
that
listen, no, no,
follow.
no, no, listen. What you need to understand and get through your thick little head is this. This is not your Spider-Man that you grew up with. You're grown up, bro. This is Spider-Man for a whole new generation. Why have you not seen that yet? Why are you still stuck,
I get
freaking
that.
20 years
I
ago,
get
bro?
that. I
No, you
get that.
don't. No,
But
you don't. No, you
no,
don't.
I
Because
get
you know
that.
what? You're
But we're
still
saying accurate
on Andrew
Spider-Man.
Garfield's
We're saying,
dick.
well, you're
Dude,
still
you know,
the way Tom was with Tony. You're still Mr. Stark. The way
dude,
Tom was with
let
Tony.
me tell
That's why you like him. That's why you like him because you
Okay, dude,
like to suck.
this is my time, bro. This is my time. Shut up. So listen.
Because you know I'm right. You know
No,
I'm right.
dude.
Tom,
No, man.
Mr. Stark,
You
Mr.
threw me
Stark.
And the way he treated Mr. Stark. See, now you got me saying Mr. Stark.
Yeah, say it. Say
The
it.
way you
Say it.
got
Mr. Stark.
me, look, dude. The way they wrote
Oh my
him,
god.
looking up to freaking Tony Stark. Like, I get it. It's not what you're used to. But they tried
It's
writing
not
it the way,
Spider-Man.
dude.
That's
Shut
my
up!
problem
Nobody's
with it.
talking to you, dude.
I'm just saying.
God
Hey, is
damn.
this a debate or not? Is this a debate or not? I'm just saying.
Hey, Trump, you wait your turn.
Okay, wait my turn. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. And Ted, I want time to respond. Go ahead.
Dude, you didn't get time to respond, dude. Shut up. Look, dude. I don't understand why you don't see the way he was written, the way he was written. Okay, he's showing respect. That's all that's about. He was
Mm,
raised by Aunt May. He was raised by
mm.
a woman who taught him respect for your elders and respect for people you admire. That's all that was about. Plus, he didn't have an Uncle Ben. He didn't have a dad. He probably looked up to this dude as a father figure. So, like, shit. You don't call people Mr. Colunga, Mr. freaking Chavez, Mr. Solis, Mr. Whatever. I don't know who. You don't use the word Mister. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
but
telling
I'm
me?
not. I,
Are you?
I'm
Is that
not
what you're
giving him a
telling me?
hand job every fucking 5 minutes.
Dude, nobody's giving anybody an HJ, dude.
Oh, well,
Relax, dude. I'm
hey,
just.
dude. If Stark said to do it, I guarantee you, Tom would have.
Oh shit.
Hey,
I
you want
think I
another
think
suit?
I think you're hating, dude,
You want another
because
suit?
you're hating because that's not you, bro. That's all it is.
Yeah, I can't relate to that. I can't relate to that character. I can't relate to those characteristics. You might, obviously, you can, but I
Oh
can't
god.
relate to those characteristics. That's
Obviously,
why.
I can. Huh? Okay.
All right,
Anyways,
so hold up, real quick. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right, go ahead and finish.
are you done?
Are you?
Are you
Wait.
done interrupting?
Go ahead, man. Hurry
Are you
up.
done interrupting? Yes or no?
Hey, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead,
Are you
Rob.
done?
Finish your thought.
I don't even know where my thought was, man. This dude keeps interrupting me. I can't. Look, man, Tom Holland's the best one. He has taken this role and made it so much more than what this nimbusel thought it was gonna be. He thought it was gonna be this plain little, oh, Mr. Stark, blah 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 blah. I'm just in high school. I don't know what I'm doing. He took this role and he made it so much more that it's expanded beyond what Valise can even comprehend. It has blown his mind. He has no idea where this is going. He's so lost in the fact that they wrote this Spidey to like expand, multiple, like what you were saying. These three movies was his origin story. He did it so well, and now we're gonna get to see him really grow and really see what life is about. What other Spider-Man film does that? None. There's so many freaking like missing plot holes, or not plot holes, but there's so many like time holes that you miss between, movies 1, 2, and 3 with Toby. There's so many, you don't know how much time passed between, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and then that was so trash that they didn't even give it a third one. So forget, what happened after that.
Hold up.
It's not your turn.
Okay.
So listen, Tom Holland's the best one, plain and simple.
Mm. Mm.
I mean,
Okay.
Well said, Rob.
Is it Elliot's turn or my turn? I'm just, I don't know whose it is.
I thought you went already, to be honest.
Damn.
Not since he asked the question, but okay,
Go,
that's
go.
fine.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, JC.
No,
I just want some time to rebuttal what he just said.
Nah,
Go
you don't
ahead.
get a rebuttal.
He said, he's okay. It took Tom Holland 3 movies to get to a point where people can fully accept him as Spider-Man because he finally had a tragic backstory.
There's nothing wrong with
And
that.
if you want to talk about the time thing, there are other MCU movies that have kind of assisted that little time thing going along here. Now, we know, Far From Home and No Way Home go right hand in hand, back to back. They give us that. But if it's taken a full 3 movies for someone like, say, Eliud to fully accept, okay, now he's gone through enough to write, I could probably consider him a Spider-Man. He's on that level. He's dealt with tragedy. He's had to sacrifice his friends for that. Andrew Garfield did it in 1 movie. Tobey Maguire did it in 1 movie. We saw that full backstory. We saw the emotions they had to go through. I'm still saying Andrew Garfield. This movie solidified Andrew Garfield as number 1 for me, still to this day. And even prior to this movie, I pushed, and Ted was there, I pushed Joe to say, hey, Andrew Garfield's still the best one. He's got the characteristics down of who Peter is, the street smarts, the intelligence, for him to be able to develop the web shooters on his own, for all the other tech that he pretty much developed on his own. The only assistance he had was just through Gwen. That's probably the one thing they changed, is that Gwen knew who he was, and she helped him along on certain spots as well. But Andrew Garfield really was Peter Parker. He was Spider-Man in every sense of the word. The attitude, the way he handled criminals. I'll go back to the first one. Knives, my one weakness. Oh my God. Just the sarcasm. Like, we never really got that from any other live action Spidey. And he put that on full display in this film. His interactions, just even the little thing where Ned's like, I promise I won't become a supervillain. And he's like, yeah, there you go. Good job. Like, just the little mannerisms. That's just a testament to how great Andrew Garfield is. He had that in The Social Network. You say what you want about Jesse Eisenberg and that, but him playing Eduardo Savern, whether that was fully accurate to how things happen or not, but that's kind of tragic how that character just went through so many emotions, how he was trying as well. So he's still the best Spider-Man in my opinion. He's the only Spider-Man of the three that people are clamoring for another movie for him. As far as why he never got it before, blame that on money. Blame it on Sony trying to jump into a deal with Disney to bring Spider-Man to the MCU, which they needed him for Civil War and needed him for where they wanted the story to go. That's probably the only reason why they never did another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. We can talk about the writing of 1 and 2, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I thought those were great movies. I thought people were just expecting certain things that didn't get it. And you just really have to suspend some disbelief on that. But I still think Andrew Garfield is the best one, hands down. This solidified that opinion for me.
I respect that 100%. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. If I'm being completely honest, I don't disagree with a lot of that. Mm-hmm. I agree. Andrew Garfield was fantastic. He had great moments in his films. He portrayed Spider-Man different than Tobey, right? It's obviously the director's vision of those films. Respectfully, it's not entirely on the actor themselves, but look, I think my problem with the original films is that the time that they had to really expand on who Peter was and who Spider-Man was so limited, right? To 3 movies, 2 or 3 movies. What we're getting with Tom, it's more than just that. And granted, while he may not be the embodiment of who Peter was or is that we know from the comics, we're getting to really see him from the genesis of who he is as Spider-Man to who the Spider-Man he's gonna become. Like, he's getting there. This isn't a sprint, man. This movie is a marathon. And we're going to get there. I have no doubt about it. I think we're going to see him go through all of these moments in his life that are going to help shape who he becomes. I think we may not, and this is unfortunate, but we may not get the sarcastic personality, right, that we know. I think just based on seeing who he is in the first 3 movies already kind of shows us we're not going to get the sarcasm. But I think that's also because a sign of the times and just he's being written for a different generation, a sensitive generation. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to say a sensitive generation, dude, because that's a whole other story.
Yeah. So.
We're getting a Spider-Man with so much depth because we have so much more time to see this character grow.
Because he's had 6 movies when you think about it.
He's gonna have 6 movies. Like, dude, if they don't nail it in these next 3 movies, I may be upset. So we're gonna have a Spidey debate 3 or 4. I don't know, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
10 years.
Hey, what happens in the next 10 years? Why are you upset? Why are you upset?
I'm just saying, man.
Relax,
dude.
We
gotta wait. Well, maybe they might not get it in the next movie. Maybe not in the movie after that.
No.
But they're gonna get it, bro.
No.
Don't worry.
I'm saying he's an amazing Spider-Man already. I'm just saying what we may get in the next 3 movies may surprise you.
Okay, let me explain. Ted, am I good to go?
You're good to go.
All right, let me explain something real quick. All right, I'm gonna tell you why Tom Holland is not the fucking best Spider-Man. Okay, Ted, I like that you mentioned about helping the villains and all that. That's a good one. All right. However, I think if Robert, you want to talk about fucking plot holes, okay? I get that Tom was trying to help the villains, okay? But I didn't like the fact that he was trying to cure them. Why were you trying to cure them? I can understand the Goblin because obviously he's fucking crazy, all right? But his thing was like, hey, you know what? I want to cure these guys. I want to, cure Electro. I want to cure Sandman and all that. I don't think they had any mental issues in that aspect. I think if you were to, sit down with them and have a kumbaya with them, I'm like, hey, you know what, Electro, for example, Electro, right? He just wanted to be somebody, right? Hey, I just want to be somebody. Well, hey, Electro, you can be somebody, man. You know what? You got these powers. You can light up the fucking city, dude. You'll be a hero. You know what I mean? Like, you could do that. Tom was trying to take that away from him. All right. If that's the case, motherfucker, take away your fucking power because nobody else would be here if it wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying? That didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why are you trying to do that? I actually agreed with the Goblin. Hey, these powers these aren't curses. This is a gift. Hey, Goblin's the goat on that because I'm like, you know what? That's very true. Like, why are you trying to cure them? All right, like, you already helped out fucking Doc Ock. Like it was just his microchip that got messed up. Hey, now he's not necessarily cured. He still gets to keep his arms. Like Electro. Hey, you know what? Let's have a sit. Hey, you know what? If you don't listen, we're gonna send you back, and you're probably gonna die because Spider-Man's gonna kill your ass. Right? So let's talk about this. Why don't you use your powers as good the way I have? All right. That he didn't go about it that route. I get he was trying to help it, but that was a big plot hole for me where I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense because if that was the case, why didn't you just kill your? Why don't you just cure yourself, Spider-Man? Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have this multiverse. People wouldn't have been sucked in. Blah 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 blah. Like it would have not happened. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for you. That's one thing about Tom Holland. Now with Tom Holland, dude, I barely even remember Homecoming. All right, like nobody remembers that movie. Nobody remembers that movie.
I do.
People might remember. Hold up. People might remember. What was it? Far From Home.
Far From Home.
That was it. Far From Home. People might remember Far From Home. But I think that was because of Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. We haven't seen that before. We thought that was pretty cool. There was good parts to that, okay? But other than that, nobody gives a fuck about those movies, man. They really didn't. And I think the reason why they even saw those movies is because they thought that there might be an Easter egg, especially Homecoming, to Infinity War. That was all. The goal was Infinity War. The reason why people saw Captain Marvel wasn't because, there's Captain Marvel fan. No, they were like, well, hey, maybe there's something that ties in with Infinity War. That was it. All right. No Way Home. It was literally the movie right after Infinity War. What happened to these people? What happened to the characters? Anybody there? That's probably why they did so well. All right. This movie, the reason why it did so well wasn't because Tom Holland carried the movie. It was because the villains carried the movie. Spider-Man carried the movie, man. Keep in mind, dude, as great as this movie is, these are all Toby's villains, all right? At the end of the day, they're Toby. The Goblins is Toby's villain, all right? And he got his ass beat, all right? Tom Holland got his ass beat by Goblin, dude, all right? He couldn't, look, he was about to kill Goblin, and Toby came in and, like, stopped him, looked at him like, you're not doing this, all right? That's
mine.
What's up, dude. Yeah, no, he's mine. That's what's up, bro. He's not Spider-Man to me. He's not Spider-Man to me. The only redeem, and I will give credit where credit's due. The only emotion where I got that Tom is finally becoming Spider-Man was at the very end, where he was like, you know what, I'm gonna sacrifice, not knowing everybody, blah blah blah, whatever. All right, and he wanted to do. He's like, you know what, I want to do this on my own. It wasn't until the very end, and goddamn, it's about fucking time, dude. Because it's been almost 6 years since we I finally feel like, hey, you know what? That's actually Spider-Man. And the reason why that's so important is because, I mean, those are all character arcs of Spider-Man. Those are important things. The sarcasm, the nerdiness, the emotional trials that he goes through. That's all why Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Okay? You know what I mean? Like, if you take that away from Batman, he's not really Batman. If Batman tries to be funny, well, he's not your Batman, bro. He's joking around. Well, that's not really fucking Batman now, is it? You know what I mean? Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, Ted, I guarantee will be like, the first one be like, hey, bro, nah, that's not Batman. Batman wouldn't do that. Batman,
I wouldn't be the first.
Don't worry. I'm going to tell Ted, well, you know what, Ted? That's not your Batman, bro. It's for a sensitive generation, so get the fuck over it. Like, no, come on. Anyways, bro, Tom is not the whatever. Hey, I totally agree with JC. You put it in a very articulate way. Andrew is, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man. Absolutely. And I loved how he shined in this movie. He shined. I think he outshined, I think, Toby and Tom, in my opinion, especially when they were all on screen. I mean, he kind of stole the show. But at the end of the day, man, I'm like, Tom, okay, cool. Like I think he had these people carry the movie for him. All right. And the reason why this movie's so successful is not because everybody was there to see Tom. Don't get it twisted. It was because everybody was there to see the Spider-Man, the real Spider-Man. All right. So don't get that twisted, Robert.
Let me correct you on that. The only
Nah,
reason
dude,
why
go
these
ahead,
films
Ted. I
did
want to hear
so
from Ted now.
well, the reason why these movies did so
for like
well,
30 minutes. You spoke for 30 minutes, dude. I
the
want to hear from
reason why
Ted now.
these movies did so well is not because of solely Tom or not solely because of Toby and Andrew. They went because Spider-Man is the #1 motherfucking Marvel hero ever.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
That's why these movies are doing so well. So I want to correct you on
Okay.
that.
Well, is it that? Or is it because
Homecoming didn't do that well?
is it more
Homecoming-
because these movies are part of the MCU, which is Disney funded? You get the marketing genius behind what Disney's able to do, and they're marketing these movies.
They did well because Spidey's the best.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody was going to see Tom, bro. Like, I mean,
Yes,
look,
they
I'm
were.
a big Spider.
They
dude,
were
I'm a
going
big
to see
Spider-Man fan,
Tom.
dude. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I'm telling you right now, I wasn't excited to go see Far From Home after I saw Homecoming. I was like, dude, I don't want to see this fucking Mickey Mouse shit.
I did.
Like, come on,
I was excited
dude.
to see it. I was excited.
I'm sure you were, dude. Mr. Stark. He's gonna get a new suit, Mr. Stark. Fuck out of here, dude. Nobody wants to see that. That's not Spider-Man.
So
Just saying,
Elliot,
man.
where are you lying? So I mean, not lying. Where do you stand? I thought you started out with saying Toby was the best, and then right here you said
So
Andrew was
again,
the best.
I say that Toby is the best Peter Parker, but Andrew is the best Spider-Man. That's what.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I can see. All right.
Because you asked who's the best Peter Parker, right? So the best Peter Parker, in my opinion, is Toby. Toby's the best Peter Parker.
I did say Peter Parker, but
if you meant the best
like
Spider-Man,
asking me who's the best Bruce Wayne or Batman. Like Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like it's almost like Bruce Wayne doesn't exist because Batman just kind of puts on a presentation whenever he's Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll put it in a way that you might understand. I think.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
I think no. So what I mean is like this: if we were going to do a Batman comparison, I think Michael Keaton is a better Batman than Christian Bale, but I think Christian Bale played a better Bruce Wayne. All right, because I didn't like his Batman. I didn't like how he portrayed Batman. All right, I think Michael Keaton to me is my favorite Batman, and I think he portrayed Batman extremely well. Now, was his Bruce Wayne that memorable or any good? Not necessarily. And then I think those are very, very good aspects of it because, especially now with these movies, they take they try to take the best of both worlds on that, and I think that's a good thing. So,
what's he got there?
You can't read it. What is that, Robert? We can't read that, Robert.
Can't hear you.
Oh man, you went mute.
Sorry, my bad. I was on mute, man. I didn't want to interrupt the.
There you go.
Boys,
what did it say?
Spider-Man: No Way Home hits another major box office milestone.
Good.
There's
you could thank Andrew for that. You could thank Andrew for that. Thank Andrew for that, bro.
I'm gonna kind of slide in between both of y'all's arguments here. The reason why it's so successful is because, it brought people to the theater with the villains, but also the enticement of we're probably going to see for sure more than one Spider-Man on screen, which had never been done before in live action form for Spider-Man. We've only ever seen it done on the Marvel side. Really. We've only ever seen it done on the Marvel side with Captain America, and damn, is that it? Is it only ever been Captain America? Kind of
You
With
mean
like
what?
part of the
on
Endgame
screen
storyline where
with
it's like multiple, the same one? Yeah, yeah.
a multiversal, mirror of himself.
Mhm.
And we've never seen it on the DC side. Pretty
No.
sure.
Well,
It's
I
because
mean, you could
DC can
argue.
afford it.
Not in the film, not in film, and
Yeah, I was gonna say you can maybe do
TV.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so I think yes, the crowds were enticed by the possibilities and the potential, but I was still blown away by how much of the story, how deep the story was, and how much they gave Tom Holland's character to do. If you would have just had Toby, Andrew, and Tom sitting on a bench talking about their web slinging days and talking about their villains and their dates and the awkwardness that comes with puberty, being a superhero, I would have watched a 2 hour film of that. I would have been entertained as hell. It would have been fantastic. I would have loved every second of it. I love the banter part about all of that. So, like, I was already hooked with all the banter between the Spideys. I thought that was fantastic. That was great stuff. But I was put over the top with the character arc, the emotions, the decisions that Tom Holland had to make, and even at the end, just even the littlest of things, like trying to tell Toby and Andrew thank you, and he couldn't just come up with everything he wanted to say. It was just so damn good. So yeah, you can say what got people or why it was so successful was because of this Andrew, this Spidey, or the villains. I agree that all of that was very enticing, but I think everybody was surprised with exactly how much depth there was to this script for Tom Holland's character. Nobody expected that. Nobody
No, absolutely
expected,
not.
yeah, nobody expected him to have to suffer the death of Aunt May, except for me. I kind of thought that,
You did. You did
and then
call it out.
nobody thought they would ever kill Toby, which they almost did. I kind of thought that too,
I,
but
I
still,
went in thinking Toby was going to die at the end. That's what I really thought was going to happen. To be honest with you. So,
this script though was amazing and incredible, and it was all to put Tom Holland on this pedestal and really have him really stand out. And I just can't overlook like how blown away I was with what they asked his character to do and how they executed it. Executed flawlessly, like across the board. I don't think they could have written a better trilogy for any Spider-Man. Any. That includes Toby. That includes Andrew. Whatever they do with the third one, I don't think you can finish a better trilogy for Andrew if you were to give him a third film. And I'll ask you
But
guys
don't the
another
first
question
movies have
here,
to be good in order to be a good trilogy? I
or
mean,
or Toby's last one. Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
everybody
yeah. I mean,
everybody stumbles. Yeah, and you know what? I would say Andrew is a formidable Spider-Man, and I think what he suffered was a lack of really great villains. I mean,
mm,
the villains were
yeah.
like just average villains. He didn't have a Willem Dafoe. The character designs, nobody appreciated the character designs for like
Mm.
Electro in his
yeah,
movie.
if we had gotten the electro visual effects of No Way Home that we had gotten and put that in Amazing Spider-Man 2, a little more comic accurate, I think people would have appreciated that movie a lot more. Everyone was
You
too
know,
focused
You
on Blue Electro,
you
I think.
you
So
think so? I think the Goblin is what screwed that up. I didn't. I actually liked Electro's look. I like that whole electric skin that he had. I think what hurt that
everyone,
was
I
I
didn't
think
mind
what
it
hurt
either.
that was the Goblin. I thought when the Goblin, I was like, man, now you're trying to fit in the Goblin and the way he looked. I think that to me, that's where the story kind of was like, all right, now you're kind of pushing it. But I actually liked how menacing Electro looked in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I didn't personally
I think
mind it, but I think people would, on social media, everyone makes fun of how he looked, but I think
yeah.
now that people might have appreciated more if it had been more comic accurate. I personally didn't mind it, and the fight with Electro at the grid is one of my
Yeah,
favorite
shit.
action fights of all times too.
They made
Yeah.
it look so much better in No Way Home.
Yeah, but I mean,
I agree.
yeah, the Goblin thing might have been rushed, but I feel like they wanted to get that in there because they wanted to get to the death of Gwen Stacy and at least give
Yeah,
it that.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
it was
agree.
rushed though. Like if they'd taken their time and spanned it out, like
If they at least introduced Harry in the first one, maybe,
Yeah,
that might have been way
Yeah.
more sense.
it would have
That
been.
would help out.
Yeah. Mhm.
Rob, anything else?
Tom's best. And so
Here's the
far,
best-
His opinion.
so far, this whole debate, Derek's the only one that voted. He voted for me, so I think that makes me the winner.
Well, Derek's always been biased. Yeah, I talk so much shit to Derek. I don't think that dude's ever been on my side for a few years now. So he's always gonna go with his family, dude. So
Doesn't
it's
matter,
all
dude.
good.
I won.
So, JC, you kind of said Andrew's the best live action Spider-Man.
Yes.
Elliot, you also said Andrew, right? Is the best live action Spider-Man?
If I had to choose between Toby and Andrew, I would say Andrew's the best.
Gotcha.
If I'm doing their comparison.
And Rob,
And
I hear you saying that Tom Holland is above Toby as well as Andrew. Is that correct?
You know,
Uh-oh.
JC has made some very compelling
Oh
arguments.
no.
Okay.
it's the same shit I've been saying. What the? What do you mean? What did he say?
I think
That
I
it was
sounded
any
nicer,
different?
maybe. I don't know.
Is it just because it came from him? What? Hey, JC makes a good point, bro. I've been saying this for years.
Go ahead, Rob. Let the man speak. He started off good. Go ahead, Rob. That's good.
Oh my god.
You know, I was gonna finish that, but he interrupted me. Tom's the best. So you can thank him for ruining it.
Oh
Good.
man.
You know what? I
Response.
expect nothing less. I expect
Oh
nothing less.
man.
Uh,
That's hysterical. If you're watching this stream right now, or if you're watching this video at a later time, we want to hear from you. Who do you consider is the best live action Spider-Man? Who is your favorite? Who do you think's gone through the biggest overall change throughout their movies? Drop your comments in the chat, or you can always send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button, or you can email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. I have one last question for you guys. What do you want to see next? And I have a list of options. And if these options aren't your answer, then please tell me what your answer is. But I kind of came up with three different ideas on what I think Marvel, AK or Sony, might
Mhm.
do. And so, option one: do they bring back this trio? Do they bring back Tom, Toby, and Andrew and give it another go? How they do it, don't ask me. But do they try it again with these three? Option two: do they do a Toby and Andrew team up? Let Tom go do his own thing. He's paved his own path now. He can walk it, and you have a separate film where Toby and Andrew can team up. Or option three: do you introduce Miles Morales and do a number of things? Have him team up with any one of these guys. Have him team up with all of these guys. Just start with Miles, and then go from there. JC, we'll go reverse this time. What are your thoughts, man? What do you want to see coming up next in the Spidey universe?
For Toby, I think we're good. I think we got everything we needed out of it. For him to save Norman, for him to tell, trying to be better to Dr. Octavius was really compelling. I think his story is good. It's great. I don't think you need to expand on that anymore. I think people have gotten enough out of that. On the Tom Holland side, it's hard to say, really. I mean, obviously, we want to see how he reacts now as on his own, the poor Spider-Man, not all the tech, and how they expand from there. Although Tom Holland did express in an interview that he would be interested in possibly working with a Miles Morales character in
Yeah.
going forward. So, and maybe that's something they expand on in the next few movies or whatever they're going to do with him. For Andrew Garfield, I want an Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I want the villain to be Tom Hardy's Venom.
Yeah, they're
That's
talking
really
about
what
that.
I want. And
Yeah,
we haven't seen Venom on that side. He hasn't fought an alien yet. And they haven't really set where the Venom movies fit into which Spider-Verse. They just said it's, the Sony Spider-Verse. And the door is open for Venom to, in that side of things, to go to New York because he's in San Francisco, right? So
Well,
think-
right now he's
Yep.
in Mexico.
or
No.
Mexico
Well,
for vacation.
no. He already
well,
went
he
back
got
to his.
he
He already
got
went back to his
transported back.
timeline.
Yeah, he went back to his time. Well, he was on vacationing, but the movies themselves took place in like California area. So
Yeah.
but that's a movie I'd love to see. I love Tom Hardy's Venom. Say what you want about the films, that they are what they are, but I love his Venom. I love that interaction. I think that would work really well with Garfield Spider-Man. As far as the future, like team up, let's see where the Multiverse of Madness goes. I don't know. It just has to make sense. Don't do it for the sake of doing it. They did it here, but it made sense. And don't, if you're going to do it again, do it years down the road. Maybe you maybe you get Haley Steinfeld to be Spider-Gwen down the line somewhere too, since she's the voice actress for Spider-Gwen and Into the Spider-Verse or something.
She's
Maybe.
also
I
Kate Bishop,
I
though.
think it's going to be Emma Stone.
She's also
Oh,
Kate
Emma
Bishop,
Stone,
though.
yeah, that's true. She is Kate Bishop, but shit. Then fuck. J. Jonah Jameson is what's his face in every single movie. J.K. Simmons. So yeah, it could be Emma Stone if they do it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways they can go with this. If you're going to bring in a team up again, it just has to make sense. Don't do it just to do it. That's my only concern.
Ramos is in the chat. He says Venom and Tom Holland Spider-Man is the next venture. He feels no more visiting the previous Spider-Man actors other than a cameo here and there, but might start introducing more heroes to the new Avengers.
That's
I
true
could
because
see
the part
that.
of the symbiote stayed there. I'm just curious to see who they would cast as Brock in the MCU side of things, because they haven't really set that up yet. But we know the symbiote is.
Well, I hope it's not Topher Grace.
I don't think it will.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Rob, you're next, man. What do you want to see next? It could either be the next Spider-Man film, or it could just be the general direction of the Spidey universe.
I would love to see these next 3 films build out a Sinister Six series
For
So-
Tom or for who?
for Tom.
All right.
I would love to see Venom within this next film, and then start introducing the Sinister Six.
Who you got
Who do I got?
in the six? Yeah.
We haven't seen a Goblin yet.
I
Right?
mean, we're gonna have to bring back Vulture. We're gonna need to introduce a Rhino. They need to bring in Kingpin as kind of like the leader to run it.
If he's alive.
Well, he's got to be, right, because
He's
look,
gotta be.
we got Daredevil. He's within this.
You haven't seen Hawkeye yet, have you?
What?
You haven't
Oh
seen
yeah,
Hawkeye?
yeah, I have. Yeah, he's in there. So
We still don't know. Anything can
I don't
happen.
know. Yeah. So
no, true. But if Cox is within this universe and that Kingpin is his Kingpin, it's safe to assume. I don't know the actor's name, but it's safe to assume he's within Tom's universe.
okay.
I'll try to remember it. Vincent D'Onofrio.
I'll look it up. I think so. Yeah.
I always say it wrong, but I think that's it.
We're gonna need a Shocker.
Well, we have a shocker, didn't we? Didn't Vulture have a shocker?
Did he say it live?
Shocker.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I don't
Scorpion.
know.
We
We have a Scorpion.
We have a scorpion.
So I think that's very plausible because we've all these characters introduced one way or another. They just never really got any screen time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it would
that's
be
what
amazing
happens.
to bring them back.
That's what
And
happens with
then
Toby.
Ned goes evil, and then that'll round out the six.
It's true. We could get a hobgoblin from that because, in a way, he's already fought Green Goblin, and no
Mm-hmm.
one's
Just
ever going to
saying.
top
Yeah,
him.
Just saying
yeah,
it could
bro.
happen,
Tom
bro.
Holland,
It could
Nah.
happen.
Tom Holland, Spider Man, dude. That
It
all
could
makes
happen,
sense.
bro. It could happen.
You know, and to speak to Adriel's point about maybe a cameo here and there, at some point, right? He's Peter's gonna have to come back with Ned, and I think Ned can open up, portals to the other universes. That could be our cameos one way or another down the line, if should it happen. I don't think it will. I think that's done.
All right. Yeah, and that would be too easy, right? Especially with just the rings. I forget what they call them, but just using the rings to kind of bounce between multiverses seems like way too easy. Usually, it's only the most powerful Marvel characters that can just switch in between different universes. So, like letting Ned do it, or even letting Doctor Strange do it, with just those rings, what do you call them, portal rings or whatever, feels like it's too easy. So I hope they didn't go that route. But I like where your head's at. Give Tom a Sinister Six. Give somebody a Sinister Six. Andrew almost got his, didn't work out, so give it to Tom. Valise, last but not least, man. What do you want to see
Uh,
next?
yeah, Sinister Six. I want to know where Morbius is going. I'm curious to see where all that goes with Morbius, with Tom Hardy's Venom. Now that Carnage is already out there, like I don't know what else you could do with Tom Hardy's Venom, other
Mhm.
than put him in with, in my opinion, Andrew Garfield. Because you're right. I think I've been seeing a lot of rumors with them trying to get Andrew back so he can finish out his trilogy, and they're talking about Tom Hardy, them going head to head with each other, man. So I think that would be pretty cool. Um, and I've also heard about the Spider Gwen coming back if Emma Stone is interested with Andrew. My problem with that is that I think the whole thing with Spider Gwen, right? I think that kind of I think that kind of diminishes the story arc with him trying to lose somebody, So I'm not a big fan of them bringing back, Gwen Stacy from the dead um, if she's Spider Gwen, because that kind of ruins the whole. Well, I lost somebody, and the whole real aspect of losing somebody and trying to get over it, and then for them to just bring back as Spider Gwen. That's what they do in the comics. I wasn't a fan of it, so I hope that they don't do that. But I mean, you never know. She's already in the Spider Verse, so it might happen.
Mhm.
But that's just whatever, man. If it happens, it happens. And as far as Tom Holland's Spider Man goes, yeah, I've been waiting for a Sinister Six since his first fucking movie, and I mean, we haven't seen shit. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I thought I was when they were introducing these characters, I was like, oh, okay, cool, they're going here and there, but maybe in another 10 years we'll probably see Sinister Six from Tom Holland. We'll see what happens.
And
You know
you'll
what I
be
mean?
there, and you'll be there to see it. So I don't know what you're
I
bitching
mean, I
about.
hope so. I hope so. I hope so.
I,
We'll see what
as far as
happens.
Spider Gwen, I don't know it's an issue where they bring Gwen back from the dead. I think it depends on how they handle the multiverse thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting if you see Spider Gwen and Garfield Spider Man together, because on those backstories, they each lost each other in their own worlds. Like how would that
Mhm.
interact and stuff. But
I think it has to be
Yeah.
a different actress. I don't think it can be the same one. Like Lily's just
Emma
saying, it kind
Stone.
of yeah. It
You don't
can't
think it'd
it
be
can't.
Emma Stone?
No, I mean, why would it be? Look, we got
Well, why would it
great.
not?
Well, look, we got three different Spider-Men, three different Peters. Why does it? They're not the same person, and they're from three different universes. Why should she be the same actress in another universe? That doesn't make any
Because
sense.
because Andrew, if okay, if she says that she's Gwen Stacy and she doesn't, and if she looks like Zendaya, I don't think it's gonna hit that emotional, like, because he's like, oh, you're Gwen Stacy. Like you know what I mean?
But it's not the Gwen.
It's not that
It's
emotional,
not the same Gwen Stacy. If we do an Emma Stone
right? But in order
version
for
of
it to
Gwen,
be,
hold on, stop. If we do an Emma Stone version of Spider Gwen, who's going to be her Peter? Andrew Garfield? No,
why not?
that's retarded
It
because it's
could
a
be.
different
I mean,
universe. It's got to be a different. It's got to be somebody different. If they're look, we have different actors for Peter because we've had a different one for each series of movies. I feel like to stay consistent, don't go with the same actor who was over here. That's going to make it confusing for most people. They're going to be like, wait, what? I don't understand what's going on. They need a different actor or actress.
But J.K. Simmons is the exception to the rule, right?
Yes, he's the
apparently.
exception because there's nobody else that can portray JJ.
And
Well, we don't
Not
have
the
I
way he
feel
can.
like there's also somebody else. There's also like a news anchor, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. There's like a news anchor who's been in like every single Spider-Man movie on a news
Gosh.
station, like always in the background of like New York 13 or whatever it is. And he's like in every single movie just as an anchor on TV. But it's the same guy from what I remember hearing about or seeing.
Wow.
Ramos says, I think there will be some connection to metahumans, Deadpool, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. I don't think they utilize the portal rings from different universities, universes. When Ned uses it, they were already in the same world. Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. And yeah, mutants need to be a thing like ASAP. Robert has a point, he says. But I feel we may have those people as Gwen and Peter somewhere out there in the multiverse. There isn't really a limit to how many there are and which characters they introduce.
Mhm.
I
True.
just don't think it would. I just don't think it would hit as emotionally hard if for Andrew, if uh, if it's not Emma Stone. And I only say that because their chemistry was so great in the original Amazing Spider-Man 2. So if Gwen Stacy comes back and it's not Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield, now maybe if Gwen Stacy is in Tom Holland's world, that sure. I mean that's fine. But if you're bringing her back and Andrew's involved and that it looks nothing like Gwen Stacy, then it wouldn't impact them, and it's like why would you bring them back? I'm saying as far as for Andrew's world, if they bring back Spider Gwen, I would say it has to be Emma Stone for it to fit some kind of a emotional impact
For
towards
both
him
characters, with the idea being that
for
she lost
both
Peter.
characters, right?
With the idea that she
Right, for
lost Peter
both
the way he
characters.
lost Gwen. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because if it's a different actress, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say then just don't even do the story.
yeah.
So
I
I don't know.
say
That's what
it's
I
more.
feel.
I say it's more important for Emma to play Gwen than it is for Andrew to play the Peter Parker from her universe because we're not going to see the Spider Gwen movie unless we do. But
You'd be surprised, man.
if we see an
You never know.
Andrew movie and they introduce Spider Gwen, then yeah, like we will have that relationship already established. We will know what Andrew's going through when he sees her for the first time, and I think it plays a little bit better if she doesn't have anything. If there's no feelings there, because Andrew doesn't look like her Peter Parker, then I feel like that's an interesting dynamic, more so than her seeing him and already having feelings for him. Uh, it would be more interesting if he has to kind of build up those feelings for her, as opposed to just both of them already being infatuated with one another. I could see that being a little bit better of a story to kind of to watch and to go through, but
If you
we'll
really want
see
to mess with it too, like we haven't met MJ in Garfield's universe. Like, what
if
if he
she
finally
exists.
meet if she exists? What? Well, I think there was some deleted scenes, right? In the first two, like
Yeah, there is. She
But
was already casted and everything,
what if he meets
but it
her?
took away from Gwen.
Yeah, what if he meets her, starts developing that relationship, and then all of a sudden, there's introduction of Spider Gwen. That's a whole
Yeah,
other story. But yeah,
I
yeah,
only
man.
bring
They
that
were
up
good.
because we don't have an Oscorp in the MCU, right?
Right.
Not really. No, we don't.
No, we
So
don't.
Because
We don't.
what
It
didn't
was already
even
acknowledged.
no.
it didn't Goblin even say in the movie? Maybe I just
Yeah,
heard this wrong.
there is
Didn't he
no.
say like
Yeah,
there's no Oscorp in this world
Yeah,
or whatever he said? Yeah, which
yeah.
begs. the question: how the hell did Parker get his powers in this Earth, anyways? Any theories on that?
Probably the
Robert.
most traditional way, spider bite, dude.
Yeah,
And they just
yeah.
didn't
Well,
want
it's
to revisit
radioactive.
it. They just didn't want to
Hey,
revisit.
dude.
They just didn't want to revisit something that's already been beaten with a, like, being, what is it, beaten to a dead horse or some shit.
Yeah, bro. It's
Yeah.
Disney, man. Fairy godmother crap, fucking pumpkin. Yeah, dude. That's all that happened, bro. Don't worry about it. That doesn't
Why? Hey,
matter.
dude, why are you
Doesn't
aggressive,
matter.
dude? Why are you
It
aggressive?
doesn't matter.
You rode
It
up
doesn't
today.
matter,
Why are you
dude.
aggressive?
Fucking Mickey Mouse bullshit, bro.
Disney like didn't let him get on a ride when he was little, and he's been attacking them ever since,
Dude,
man.
right? Shit. Mad, dude.
Ruining my Spider-Man, dude.
Mad, dude.
Disney ruined Spider-Man for me
No, I
for a few
just
years.
shut
Disney
up.
ruined Spider-Man for me for a few years, man. I'm not
And
even
then
kidding, dude.
and then it gave you
I'm
the
so salty,
best,
brother.
and then it gave you the best Spider-Man movie ever,
Sony
right?
did. Sony
Sony
did.
did.
Not
Sony
Hold
did.
Sony
on,
did.
hold on,
Sony
hold
did,
on.
Ted.
We
Sony
we
did,
need
Ted.
we need to be very clear about this.
Mm-mm.
Sony did.
We need to be very clear about this.
If it
Okay.
wasn't for Sony, it wouldn't have happened.
Look, Sony said you can play with our toys, but Marvel, who's owned by Disney, is the one that said, "All right, we're gonna take your toys and we're gonna make this with it," and they came
Because
out with a Megazord.
that's right. Because Sony
That's
couldn't do
okay.
shit.
All right,
Because
I'm just making
Sony
sure we
couldn't
catch.
do shit.
Hey, I'm just saying. I give the credit to Sony, but okay.
Yeah, Sony didn't know what they were doing with Spider-Man, dude. They were lost. They didn't know where to shit or wind their watch, dude.
Derek's in the chat says he's just mad because Andrew doesn't have a fairy godmother. Possible, possible.
Yeah.
Derek's irrelevant.
Oh man, listen, I appreciate you gentlemen joining, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot more discussions coming up in the future. And we just can't wait to see what happens because, as we mentioned, they have several options. And even though you gentlemen think just throwing these three guys back in a movie together would be pointless unless the story is good enough, as I mentioned earlier, they could just be sitting on a bench talking about nothing, and I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna watch it twice because it's just that damn interesting and entertaining. So I'm gonna thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Again, if you're watching the stream or you are in the chat, let us know who is your favorite Spider-Man or who is just the best live action Spider-Man. Drop your comments in the chat, or you can send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowntothegeekcast.com. Next week, we will continue our discussion on Peacemaker, the Book of Boba Fett, as well as Superman and Lois, and can't wait to get into that some more. No movies for a while. I think not until next month when we watch the Batman with Robert Pattinson, which looks better and better each time we get a new trailer or we get more photos from the set. If you want to play a game against the Riddler, go to, I'll type it in the chat,
Is it spelled weird?
ratalada.com.
Hey, at least you're gonna go watch the Batman.
I am.
You are.
He better. He better. If you want to play a game against the Riddler, go to ratalada.com. I forget it's I forget what it means, but it's I think it means
Riddle.
the winged rat in either Spanish or Latin or something like that. And you can play some games against the Riddler. It's the online sort of promotional um, events that WB is doing for the movie. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. And if you can't guess the right answers, go on to Twitter and you can find them there. Gentlemen, I want to thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate the discussion. I know it's been a while since we've done this, but it was worth it. And I hope to see you guys again very soon so we can talk not just about Spider Man, but anything else. You guys are always welcome. You know that. For the countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. And check us out tomorrow. Talking Royal Rumble on the WrestleCast. the good, the bad, and the bad is mostly the men's Royal Rumble. But we'll talk all about
and
it.
the really bad, yeah.
Yeah,
Damn, it was that bad?
the men's one was.
Ooh.
The women did way better in their Royal Rumble.
Dang.
So anyway,
There you go. I think the men's Royal Rumble was probably the worst match of the night.
yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
what's happened to wrestling, man? I don't know.
What's happened to WWE? Because AEW and Impact are fucking killing it right now. So
There you
Oh,
go.
wow.
definitely.
Before we exit, Ramos says, kind of like Batman, we know his parents are killed, so the last few Batmans just did small clips rather than tell the whole story again. Want to make sure I call that out. Hey, little one. And last but not least, our two biggest Spider-Man fans we know. First, we got LU2099.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. I'll always love talking about Spider-Man. You all know that. Robert, you still suck, but I love you. So, but I love you. I love arguing Spider-Man with you, even back in the old AMC days, man. Just
Ooh,
talking superhero stuff and all these different possibilities. And as I look back from we were teenagers to where we are now, and still talking about this with you, I'm very blessed, man. So I appreciate we get the opportunity to do this.
Same ways,
Elliot,
man. Same likewise.
real quick, Elliot, if you would have told yourself 20 years ago that one day you would see a movie with three Spider-Men in it, what would you tell your older self?
I don't know. I'd be like, no, I wouldn't have happened. I know. That's why when I was watching that, I couldn't believe it. It was so nostalgic, man. But yeah, it was great. It was great, man. I loved it. It was a great movie. So very happy, very happy. And the fact that I still get to talk about it with you guys and all that, it makes it even better, man. So very happy about that.
Absolutely. And last but definitely not least, Elliot 2099's daddy, one of the OG Geekcasters. It's Rob.
Appreciate it, Ted. It was good to be back. I don't know, man. We'll have to schedule my next appearance here in a few years.
Just promise me you'll keep that John Lark mustache from Mission Impossible 6, man. It's
There
great.
you go.
Man, I'll have to grow it back. I might be shaving it this week for an interview on Friday, but yeah, man. Just thanks for having me, and I'll be back in a while. I want to be honest. I don't know if I want to see the Batman in theaters. I was really expecting it to be on HBO Max, but apparently it's not. So
Why would it be?
because they were advertising it early on as streaming on HBO Max.
That was just it was when it was supposed to come out last year, but then they moved the release date back. That's why it's just in theaters. So it was
Because of how
That's
fucking how
true.
well Spider-Man did. I bet shit.
Get out of here, man.
They want that money, man. They want
I
that
don't know.
money.
Hey,
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways,
But you're not.
yeah.
Whoa, hold on. So you're not going to see the Batman in theaters?
No, I'm
It's
not.
Batman,
I don't want to see Robert Pattinson in theaters.
bro. Oh, okay.
That's a
Hey, well,
whole
you can have
nother
at it.
episode.
You have at it, Ted.
Robert
You have
Pattinson in
at it,
theaters.
Ted. Go ahead. You have at it, Ted.
That's
Hey,
another episode
he's
for the
winning me
future.
over.
a great
He's
Batman.
winning me over. But hey, what? He's winning me over. But whatever, man. Hey, Ted, that's all you.
Oh man. We'll see you
We're
next
this
time,
thing all over
folks.
again, people.
Look, dude, I love Batman, but I don't think I'll get into an argument with Ted about Batman.
To what Derek said, I'm gonna say Team Volturi. They were the best parts of those fucking movies.
Derek to the chat
Team
still.
Edward.
Team Edward. Have a good night, folks. See you next week.